For some, these are simply statistics. For others, this is life. LaQuisha Greenidge of Washington, D.C. is a single mom raising her 8-year-old son, Gregory. When Gregory was 2, LaQuisha noticed that Gregory was not developing as quickly as he should have been. Gregory was later diagnosed with autism. Every day since has been about learning and progression for LaQuisha.
We have a lot that we go through with Gregory, but all of it is fun. Like it's a challenge. Some things are a challenge and some things aren't. They told us that Gregory wouldn't speak at all. His doctor said he wouldn't speak. Now Gregory, he asks for what he wants, and he does. He says hello. He's just adapting to be sociable.
Vivian Siskin is an instructor and clinical supervisor in the Department of Hearing and Speech Sciences at the University of Maryland. She's an award-winning specialist in communication disorders. Siskin says there are several misconceptions about autism.
Most people who know a little bit about autism these days know that it's not caused by poor parenting. But there was a very, very long period in history because there was a researcher a long, long time ago named Bruno Bettelheim who said that the children who developed autism had what he called as refrigerator parents, parents who were isolated, who were cold, aloof. We now know that it's nothing to do with parenting, it's nothing to do with psychological trauma or an event that occurred, and that this is a condition that is biological, neurobiological, and from birth. So it's not something that's learned or developed because of anything that's happened to the child. Another misconception is that the behavior of some of these children might be attributed to things that we see in typically developing children. So sometimes we see a child who's manipulative of their parents or their teacher and trying to get something. And we see a lot of challenging behaviors in children with autism. And very often these challenging behaviors are means of communication. So even screaming, pulling, yelling, scratching, and a lot of other challenging behaviors that we don't know necessarily how to handle, and teachers struggle with these, and parents struggle with these, are means to communicate because their systems of communication are very limited in terms of behavior regulation. They usually communicate to get somebody to do something.
This misconception that autistic children are just misbehaving causes people to laugh, stare, or even point.
Now, when people look, they say stuff like, my child wouldn't be crying like that in person. I know he's not acting out. You hear little stuff, and now, I just ignore it, because to me, it's their ignorance. If it's something that you don't know about, you shouldn't speak on.
We've learned that looking at the cognitive learning style in autism and teaching based on that cognitive learning style, we can make pretty big strides in learning for many children and adults with autism. We have to know how their brains work, how it's different, and tailor our teaching style to some of that cognitive learning style.
Researchers are working hard to ensure a promising road ahead for the future of autism.
To cure autism, we are looking also at potential causes that are more specific than what we know now. Earlier detection is always something that's beneficial. And I think that people are very interested in learning about evidence-based treatments that will help children with autism develop language, develop cognitive skills, develop functional work experience kinds of things. I think that very often we're focused on in school is teaching kids the basics that you learn in academics, the general curriculum. And children with autism, even though they may read and they may write and have good communication skills, and I'm talking about some of the ones who might have higher functioning autism or Asperger's disorder, transitioning to the adult life, transitioning out of school is a traumatic period for families. I would like there to be more services and options, both recreationally, vocationally, and for living for adults with autism, because these children do grow up.
Gregory represents the 1 in 88 children with autism. His mom and Vivian represent the millions that are supporting autistic children around the world, just like Gregory, in their fight to be heard and understood.